Hello, everybody. It's IAmTheLionRider here, and today we are starting a brand new collaborative series on my channel with my good buddy Lemur.
Hello.
Uh,
That's
so, if anyone has seen some of my other videos, specifically from the Roger Williams series, you might be familiar with Lemur.
true.
We're,
Very
we're
popular guy.
we are good buddies, and so we thought, hey, let's make a collab series for a zoo. So this series, if you've seen the title, is called Atlas Park Zoo,
Yay.
and it's based off of mythological creatures. So
Mm-hmm.
all the animals in this entire series are pretty much going to be modded. I don't know what animals that wouldn't be, because pretty much everything is going to be fictional. So
Yes.
these are going to be creatures from different pantheons, mythologies. So you could have stuff like griffins and dragons and unicorns. And so basically, I guess I can just kind of get started with what I'm doing. We wanted to build the entire zoo around this giant kind of Mount Olympus style structure. So that's what I'm doing. I'm building the entire mountain that's going to be the main focal point of the entire zoo.
Just making long hot dogs right now.
Yeah, so I should mention that this is 16 times the speed of when I was actually building it, and so this was actually extremely tedious when I was doing it in person.
Yes.
Lemur was here for.
I watched the whole thing, and it took a very long time.
Yeah. Basically, the way I designed it is I just made a big, focal point at the very center of where I wanted at the right height, and then I just kind of drew diagonally down, and then kind of split that into little tentacles, and then kind of connected them up, as you can see. And I think that's pretty much the best way to do the mountain. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know a better way to do it.
Well, because otherwise you'd have to basically make a big circle and pull all of it up.
Exactly.
Which would take way longer.
Yeah, so I like basically that's just how I did it. I just designed it with the idea of what's the least amount of headache, and so that's kind of where I get the shape from. So it might look a little funky at first, but I eventually go back.
They come together.
Yeah, I eventually sculpt it so it looks a little more presentable and a lot less noodly.
Yeah, it's just really hard to make these kinds of big terrain structures in Planet Zoo because the brushes, even if you have it on max size and max intensity, it's still not that fast or not that big of an area.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take a lot of work to do something like this.
So yeah, this is kind of where I'm actually at the sculpting element of it, where I'm making sure that the mountain looks like a mountain.
Yeah.
So I sharpen up some of the edges. I add some of the kind of plateaus that I wanted around it. And I lay down the fundamental blueprint for where I wanted our very first exhibit in the zoo, which is going to be in this episode, which is the unicorn exhibit.
Yeah.
The reason we did the unicorns as kind of a main focal point is because they don't really work with any one specific kind of mythology group.
Yeah, and they're also a very well-known type of creature, so it makes sense to put them at the front.
So yeah, we basically designed, because we're gonna try to build this almost like a theme park kind of set up with different lands based off of the different things. So Greek mythology, Nordic mythology, East Asian, Egyptian, and just kind of split it up by sections.
Yeah, which normally Nick hates when zoos look like theme parks, but
yeah. So I've basically, because I've voiced this on numerous things. I like circuits when it comes to zoos. I don't like backtracking. And so this is kind of based off of almost like a Disney World approach to it, where I'm doing a hub and spoke design, where it's a big centerpiece, and then go to the Egyptian section, and then the Nordic section and stuff. But we found a compromise. Basically, we're going to use that kind of idea, but we're going to make it a circuit. So the entire thing is going to have you go in either one of two directions, and then you'll see the entire zoo just by following a single path, and it'll just loop around the mountain.
Best of both worlds.
So you can see me right now. I'm just kind of painting, and I'm adding in I wanted a little river. And that'll lead into what our first area, which will be the Nordic, subsection area. And so I wanted to just kind of lay down that focal point. And past that, I'm just kind of adding some of the details into the side of the mountain. I wanted like some different little areas that I could place down buildings and stuff like that. And yeah, so now I'm actually getting started on the main front entrance. Or actually, like, I don't even know if I was at the main front entrance yet, but I was experimenting around with like how I wanted to do some of the buildings and stuff. So you can see I made like this custom like kind of pillar, which kind of like is like a Greek pillar. And I saved it as a blueprint just in case, you know, we ever wanted to use it in the future.
Which we most definitely will.
And past that, I just started work on like some very basic layouts. I started with like what I knew I wanted, which was like a big sign, and then later on in the video, you see what I do with that. So it was at this moment that I didn't realize, but I for whatever reason didn't turn unlimited money on. So.
Oh yeah,
so that's
runs out of money.
So I don't know why. I think I was just disabling everything, and I disabled the unlimited money part of Sandbox. So I just did that by mistake.
Oh, here's the braziers.
So yeah, so basically I wanted to do custom braziers for this. And unlike in Planet Coaster where they had custom, you know, fire particle effects, Planet Zoo doesn't have that. So what I ended up doing is taking the South American torches and I made a fire. And then by like using like a ton of pieces and just kind of like, you know, combining them all. And then I did this by I wanted a custom, you know, actual like bowl to put them in. So I took some of the limestone pieces and then I just kind of copied them around in a circle. And there you go, made a brazier. So it's
nice.
They're pretty big pieces. They're pretty, you know, hefty on, you know, or taxing, I should say. But I think they do look good in the end. And then past that, I just made them all look symmetrical because they were all like, you know, a little bit off from copying and pasting. But past that, we move on to my first building. So I wanted some sort of like entrance, you know, that was like, I don't know, like kind of a, I don't even know what you would call it, like just something to like look into before you like just go into the main park. So I made a couple of like small buildings in the front. So this was the first one. I wanted to do like an information desk. And so I based it off of kind of like ancient Greek architecture. So the standard, like they're kind of simplistic buildings with like kind of
clay roofs.
Yeah, orange clay roofs. And so you can see me just kind of like, you know, copying them, doing that, and then adding like, you know, all I later add some details to the side using my favorite item, the East Asian timber.
Yeah,
my favorite thing. I always call them the East Asian planks, but like it's just because I type in East Asian P whenever I like look them up. But yeah, I think you said they were East Asian timber, right? Like it was like,
something like that. It's something weird that they shouldn't be named, but yeah.
Yeah. But they're always just my favorite things because they're dyeable for one, and that's really useful. And then like it's obviously just like a small wooden piece, so like you can get a lot of mileage out of just that. So you can see me here. I'm just adding a little bit of detailing to the side of the building. Nothing too crazy. Just making it look a little bit nicer. And then past that, I think I just kind of once I'm done with this, I make a second building.
Yeah.
So this building, I got a little bit, I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I want it to be a different style building, but have the same kind of like, you know, color palette and like design and stuff, but I wanted it to be a different shape. And I think this was like a big issue for me because like I eventually get around to making a roof and I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, this is a struggle. This is a very long struggle.
Yeah, because you can see me here, like, just, I have no idea what I'm doing with this roof. I'm, like, going through every piece, and I'm just,
yeah,
like,
every single piece you're going
I'm
through.
like, I don't know how to line it up and make it look good, and then I eventually find pieces that do line up, but, like, it just looks terrible. So what I ended up doing is I scrapped the, you know, peaked roof over the whole thing, and instead made a small little balcony that I eventually use, I forgot what kind of fences they are. I think they're like East Asian fences.
Yeah, those look like East Asian, and they're dyeable, so.
And so yeah.
That's right there.
Yeah, so I basically just used those and just kind of acted as like, you know, okay, I could just do a little balcony. And then I sunk a restroom in here, and because I could see there was a little bit of, you know, it wasn't lining up perfectly, I hit it up with some more of the East Asian plank. buildings just on the side. There you go. Yep. And then I changed the bathroom color and the roof color. So at
Another
this point,
building? Nope, foliage.
yeah, I ignore the buildings for a bit. This is when I skip to the next day. This was a very large build, by the way, for a single episode.
Yes. I think most episodes definitely will not be this scale.
No, this easily could have been like 4 or 5 things from the amount of stuff that I did. So right now you can see me. I'm doing the kind of entrance. I don't know. I wanted like an entrance pavilion type thing. I don't know what I want. Yeah. So basically, what I did was I made a center thing, and then I just kind of took some of the limestone pieces and just kind of scaled them around and made a circle. I made this weird kind of Walmart star design, and then I didn't like it, so I just went with the normal circle, and then I eventually copied that, and then we moved on to the detailing. So
Yes.
I knew that the pillars that I made beforehand weren't going to be good enough, so I decided to make new custom pillars using some more of the limestone pieces. So I basically just took those and did the exact same process. I just kind of copied them around, made a bunch of circles, and then added some custom detailing. You can see me like finishing that up. And so these are really big pillars. These are like, maybe like 20 or 30 elephants high, like scale-wise.
Elephants?
I don't know, like what's a Planet Zoo measurement? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
65 people or about 20 elephants, like, I don't know, like...
very big, we'll just say that.
Yeah, so these are very big pillars, but I do get a lot of mileage out of those because when we later get to some of the bigger buildings, I use them a lot. So now I get to doing the... I wanted to do like a little bit of a, like, I don't know if you would call it a bench, but like some kind of like thing that like, you know, circled this grass area. I don't know what I want to do with the grass area yet. I was thinking of like, you know, some kind of maybe a mosaic or something in the future. Right now I just kept it at whatever. So now what you see me doing is I'm actually using some of the lion statues to detail the main thing. So
wait, that's what you did? What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so I know that like if you've seen the Colosseum, they have little like statues of like different statues of like women and stuff that like circle the entire thing. Mm-hmm. So I just did kind of the same thing with lions. I think that worked just as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looked good in the end. So it's just a little bit of extra detailing if you look inside of that little area. So then I go back to doing like some of the, you know, buildings and stuff. This one wasn't nearly as, you know, complicated. I basically just kind of sort of copied the old one I had and then literally just, I think I put a gift shop in this. I didn't really, you know, have any rhyme or reason to like some of the buildings besides the information center, so I think I ended up doing just like a gift shop, a balloon shop, the restroom, and the information desk.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are just like, again, just for some background, you know, stuff. So now we're actually jumping into me detailing the sides of the mountain. So yeah. I knew I wanted an actual like Greek/Roman gazebo style building on top of the mountain. Mm-hmm. So what I did here that was a mistake is I tried using the limestone building pieces. And so I wasn't actually able to do that technique that I was doing like with all the other ones that were just individual props. All of these had their own individual grid, so I couldn't just line them up nice and easy, so I had to do it manually. And it's why it doesn't really, like, you know, totally line up perfectly. It looks okay in the end because I sink it into the ground, but, like, I should have just used the other pieces because it would have been way quicker. Using that little spinning technique that I did for, like, everything else, like, is just the way to go.
Deleted all those poles individually, then?
Exactly, because, like, none of them were, like, correct. So you can see me here. I try to start doing a arched roof, and then I give up because I was doing a terrible job. Later on, you see me doing the same thing, and like I mess up again, but I think it looked good. But I knew I wanted some elevation, so I make some new custom pillars. These ones were just like kind of like a star design, and I just copy those around. You know, give it some height. Copy that base thing. This is where I make what I should have done for the base, which is just using that single individual small piece, that you can really like get a perfect circle really quickly.
True.
And not have to estimate like I did before. And again, just, you know, each time is just incremental, and so you get it a lot quicker. So now I just wanted to add a little extra height, so I just added another little layer of detail. And now we get to the dome. So for the domed roof, I tried freehanding it. It was a very bad looking dome at first. You can see it here. It kind of looks like a spine, like...
Yeah. It just looks like kind of crooked, but you do a way better job with this one.
Yeah, so right here you can see, yeah, this one looks a lot better when I eventually copy it around. So, you know, it looks weird at first, but then you just keep copying it, and then there you go. We got a dome. So then at the top, I wanted to add a little stag or something, because I feel like I don't want to use lions for everything. And I eventually think we will get around to a type of stag-style creature. So,
ooh, teasing.
Yeah, so we will be doing that eventually. But right now, I'm using those big pillars to make an acropolis. So,
yep.
If anyone knows what an acropolis is, it's basically that big...
The picture you always see of Greek buildings.
Yeah, whenever you look up ancient Greek building, it's the one that you know. It's the big, you know, tower of arches, and then like a really, like a not so steep arched roof. So this is where I was very stupid. So every other piece in the game has an arched roof, you know, except for the limestone set. So this caused some issues. So because I needed a limestone roof, or at least something that looked like that color, I had to make it custom. And so this is definitely the most taxing thing I've done in the entire game. So I made that little piece, and then I copy it about 100 times. You can see it, like, you know, like it looks good from far away, but like literally the game wouldn't even let me copy the whole thing in bigger increments than what I just did. Just because it was that taxing. But as you can see, it looks good in the end.
It worked out.
So now I'm basically just adding another big waterfall. I knew I wanted a waterfall that would kind of like bleed down from like this top peak into the unicorn enclosure. And because the game's waterfall system isn't very good, and I kind of hate it, because of the way the particle effects work, I basically had to make a tiered waterfall using a bunch of different individual lakes. And then I kind of sprinkled some rocks around of various colors to, you know, make it
give it a little
fancy.
pop.
Yeah, because I used this technique in Roger Williams for my the crane episode. It was for like a little koi pond, and it was just you know, sprinkling a bunch of different color rocks so that it looks nice. And then I finished up that kind of waterfall segment, and then I had a quick passive foliage. So I was looking at like different foliage options from like actual Greece for it. So that was like cypress trees, acacia trees, etc. But now we get to what was the not planned, overambitious part of this project, which probably could have been its own episode. And that is a giant dragon statue overlooking the entire mountain/acropolis.
Yes, I had no knowledge that Nick was planning on doing this, and he did it when I was like asleep or something. And so the next time I look at the zoo, I just see a giant dragon. I was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, I mean, I think it like came out looking good in the end. It was just like a thing where
It did, yeah.
When we originally designed this entire like zoo, because we had a rough idea, we didn't. We're gonna do it mostly kind of freehand each week, but we had a just basic overview of like what we wanted out of the main centerpiece. And yeah, so the dragon wasn't in the plan, but I was just looking at it. I'm like, a dragon statue would be really cool right there. So then I was like, yeah, sure. And then I know on the workshop there's a ton of people that have done dragon statues and stuff, and they use like these rock pieces and stuff, and I'm like, I could do that. So I used a bunch of rocks and stuff, and then just made clumps. And then just kind of use like you know, basic anatomy knowledge of like how muscles work and stuff to like kind of get like, you know, oh, this is where the bicep would be, this is where the tricep would be, and I just made them out of clumps. And then I made all the wings kind of as like a I don't even like. I just used a bunch of rocks and just kind of had them
Kind of
going
drew them.
yeah, drew them like on almost like a 2D plane, if you could visualize
Yeah.
that. So this was cool. So I made a bunch of clumps of rocks that kind of had like this cool, like almost scaly texture to them. So I actually like really liked how it like looked. It almost looks like what's that dinosaur that's like like an ankylosaurus.
Right.
So like it's got like a scaly back and stuff, and like so you can see me like adding like these little scoots along the entire back of the dinosaur or dragon, not the dinosaur. And I have it just kind of you know, going around the entire mountain. This was fun. I had to because I'm over ambitious. I had the dragon gripping one of the pillars, so I had to like make a custom hand that's like grabbing the entire pillar, and like then I did like a tail that was kind of like a spiky tail. And so now I've basically done the majority of the dragon. You can see
Just
me
detailing a little bit.
yeah, I'm adding more scoots and spikes and stuff to the back of it. And then in a minute, I think I do another pass at the face. I do a little bit of detailing here too to like get the rest of the wings to look nice. So I had some like scales, and I used one of the, it's like an arrow-headed shaped rock to like get like the middle wing, or the middle, what do you call those? I know
I don't know. I know like the lines in the wings or whatever that they always draw. Yeah, I don't know what those are called.
because I know like bats have them and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see me here. I'm just basically detailing the face, and then I knew I wanted like a glowing red eye, so at night it like looked like, you know, a glowing gem or something in the eye. So I used like it was just a red light, but in my head I think of it as a ruby. It's a big ruby eye. Which speaking of rubies,
could totally afford that.
Which speaking of rubies, I also wanted to do something kind of magical with the front of the main entrance and stuff. So I did like these kind of like primitive shaped crystals floating,
like Spyro.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like like Spyro, or like they kind of look like rupees from like Legend of Zelda or something.
Mm-hmm.
And past that, I just kind of added some more pillars and stuff to the side, and then we get to the rainbow. So
yay!
So this was actually a big pain, all things considered. I was using primitive pieces to make this rainbow, and I was just trying to get it to be an arch. I like to build anything that I know is going to be flat sideways, just because if I can build it like from the top down, it's easier to like maneuver and stuff, and then when it's all done, I can just combine it and then flip it. So it looks like I'm doing like a rainbow path right now, but it's just going to be like a normal rainbow eventually, and then I add like, you know, custom clouds and stuff. But there's not much to be said about it. I basically just went around and then just did, you know, my standard Roy G. Biv thing. That is a thing that annoys me about a lot of rainbows when people like make them. If they don't actually do, you know, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, it looks terrible. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, there's
I agree.
It's like one of the most common things when you're a kid too. Like you're taught like what are the colors of the rainbow? Roy G. Biv. But like, I know people that'll they'll randomly do like green, blue, red, orange, pink, like.
Yeah.
And it just looks terrible, like, because unless you get the colors right, it just doesn't look like a proper rainbow. So now what I'm doing is I just want to make a little bit of a cloud, because I didn't want this to be overly Greek, you know, in the front. So I wanted to like add some like almost like just general fantasy elements.
Mm-hmm. Like the dragon.
Yeah, so the dragon, the rainbow. You know, just stuff that was like, you know, a little more ambiguous, while keeping the kind of mythical theme. So now we're jumping into my me actually working on the first exhibit. So this was the unicorn exhibit, and for this I knew I wanted to do a bunch of like custom like flower sections and stuff. So I made like this little group of like a bunch of flowers, and then I made a custom little mushroom out of some primitive pieces. So it looks like a little garden. It looks like almost like an Alice in Wonderland or something. Like,
yeah, I love it.
And so yeah, that was like a nice little prop. And then basically once I had this, I could just kind of copy the little group of flowers around a bunch to make like a bigger flower field. I made a little mushroom here. And I think it turned out pretty good. So again,
I agree.
this little clump just, you know, I just copied it around. So this episode is going to be pretty much the only episode that I'm not actually using my own mod, though I did actually have to modify it a bit. So I want to give credit to Pure Winter for her original unicorn mod that she made way back. It was probably one of the first mods that was really big on Nexus. It hasn't been updated in a bit, so I took the liberty of just updating it for her, and I'll let her know before this video goes up that, hey, I've updated your mod, and then I can send her the file and stuff. So that she can like get it working on Nexus again. But basically, so I want to thank her because I used, you know, her model, and I think it looks really good. So I want to comment on this. I made custom unicorn signs by using the zebra.
Parentheses.
Yeah, using the zebra in a parentheses to, you know, make the horn. But yeah,
some rocks and foliage.
Yeah, so I think this like all looks like pretty good. So I'm just you know, I'm using a lot of cherry blossom trees.
All right,
just
toot your own horn.
Well, I don't know.
No, I agree.
It's very it's very colorful. It's very like whimsical and stuff. So I'm adding like in the lake,
like
I'm
a lot.
adding lily pads and cattails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I made the all of the props in the thing cotton candy colored. So everything is either pink or like light blue.
Yeah.
And I think it all looks like
bigger mushroom.
Good. Yeah, this was like a bigger mushroom.
Like Porygon for a second.
Yeah. So I had some bigger mushrooms in the back just because I thought, like, you know, we should have something other than just the normal ones. So I have like a little hedge outlook, and now I am just to round out this episode. I am making the logo for our zoo. So I used some custom pieces or whatever, and I basically made a custom logo. I made like a custom font that's kind of like Greek inspired for like the park zoo. So everything's like a lot more jagged and stuff, and the O's are replaced with like kind of like diamonds almost. Like
yeah. And you originally made this logo using like Photoshop, I think.
Yep. So originally I did the actual logo in Photoshop, and then once I had that done, I basically went, okay, let's make this entire thing in Planet Zoo. So the main idea was like I wanted like for the logo, it would just say Alice Park Zoo, and then it was going to be like kind of a minimalistic version of the you know, the first sight line, which is like the mountain, like, the Acropolis and stuff. So it's basically just the mountain with a couple of like waterfalls. You see the rainbow and like all that stuff. And I think it like turned out really good. What's funny is because all of this is using individual pieces later on in the video, I try to light it at night, and the shadows just didn't like it at all. They just hated it.
Yeah, the game just does not know what to do when there's so many pieces clumped together.
Yeah.
So it tries to do a shadow on each piece individually.
Exactly, yeah, so it just didn't work out like that. So there we go, I have the actual text done, and now to actually do the mountain. So again, I'm doing all of this on a flat surface just because I know if I were to do this diagonally, it would be a pain. So it's a lot easier for me to literally just do it all on a flat surface, and then afterward just kind of change it all to be flipped on its side. So it's obviously not as detailed as the one I do in Photoshop, and that's in like the thumbnails and stuff. But I think it's a pretty good like minimalist thing, and it's pretty small. So if we wanted to like place this around like the zoo and other parts, we easily can. The only thing I'm not crazy about with my minimalist idea was the Acropolis is just replaced with like a house icon. But past that, I do a little gradient on the text, and that's all set.
That's it.
So I just kind of place it down, and now the only thing left I do is I just make this last final building. It's nothing complicated. It's just kind of a similar design to how I did the other one. Only this time I have like a double arched roof next to the porch. And so I just copied those around, and that pretty much should be it. I think I just, I add some pots and stuff, and then I think in a minute I like mess with the lighting and stuff. Oh, and I also wanted to add some detailing, so I added like some lion statues. You can tell I really like lions. Yeah, I know. You can tell I like lions. Yeah, so
It fits.
this was me working with the lighting at night, and you could see it glitching. But there we go. So thank you guys for watching. You can see Pure Winter's beautiful unicorn. And thank you guys for watching. So the next episode, I'm going to hand this file off to Lemur, and he's going to work
I don't know
on...
if we touched on that in the beginning, but each episode we're going to be alternating, basically.
Yeah, so he'll do the next episode, and then we'll go from there. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. I have more series and stuff in the works, and enjoy.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.